Welcome to the Andrea Giovino Show. I want to thank all my subscribers that continue to subscribe, leave comments. I love to get back and interact. And I always want to thank Jesus for giving me this platform and helping me to be the person I am today. Today we have on a good friend of mine, very, very talented actor, does a lot of the crime, which I know you guys are going to love because you all love the crime stuff. Kevin Interdonato.
Thanks for having me, Andrew.
And Toby's here today, Toby TNT. And Kevin, I wanted to have you on because I come from the crime background and I've watched your films and they're amazing. You're an amazing, talented actor.
Oh, thanks.
I wanted you to tell the audience a little bit about your films and why you get into that rugged, tough street guy.
Yeah. Okay. It's funny. Because I've written these films that you've seen and directed them, and then I don't really have a plan. It's just what kind of comes to me naturally. My mind just kind of goes there, and instead of trying to cultivate something for saying, oh, I need to write a romantic comedy, or I need to write this, or I need to write a horror film like most people do, my mind just kind of goes there. There's something very interesting about a criminal to me. It always has been. We've all had our moments touching that world to an extent. You know, I could have went left, but my father was just a very, very strong influence in my life, and I walked a straight line. But I grew up with guys like that, you know, people that kind of stepped over the line. I came up in a family construction business. We talked about that before. And my father exposed me to another side of life, an underbelly of things at a young age. He didn't want to hide anything from me, you know, and it was tough. I grew up down, in Jersey, and the area we were is very blue collar. And I was just always around tough guys, always on the job sites, always around tough guys, who's getting beat up, who's got a black eye, who got cut with a knife, this and that. And I was 6, 7, 8 years old around this constantly, and they all used to take me under their wing. So I kind of enamored it a little bit. And through the years, creatively, I get cast playing a lot of these characters. You're not going to see me in a rom-com anytime soon. It's just not going to happen, you know? and that's fine.
But I could tell you why I'm especially excited to have you in here today, because the cool, calm demeanor of the person that we see in front of us, and then the transformation of the character that you transform into. And I think when we had this conversation, you transform, and the artistic side of what you're capable of doing on screen, to me, is impressive.
Oh, wow.
And I like how you're able to be a cool, calm, collective individual in front of us. You're starting to tell us how you kind of grew up around that certain element of lifestyle, which we're very familiar with. Mm-hmm. But now you transform into these characters. And there's a lot of actors out there that we see. There's a lot of movies out there. But I have to say, brother, you do it exceptionally well from what I've seen thus far. And so, God bless you in that.
Thanks,
the intensity,
Toby. Thanks,
I
man.
think it's like when I didn't even know Kevin, and I love thriller, I just like that kind of stuff. So I'm going through, and I come across Malicious.
Oh, you saw that first.
I said, you know what? I'm going to watch this because I
enjoyed it.
I like this kind of stuff. Given my background, I like the kind of film that's going to keep me at the edge of my seat. Mm. I need to have that hold my attention, otherwise I get bored. So when I watched that film, I didn't even know you, I had told people, watch this film. This actor reminds me of a version of Robert De Niro in Cape Fear, that crazy side of him, and how you bring that to the screen, that crazy maniac side. And yet you're such a gentleman and mild-mannered guy. A crazy Italian side, but I like it. And also the Bastard Sons, you play this tough, street guy, and you play it very well. You're There's a reason why you're acting. You're a great actor.
Oh, it's very nice you both. Thank you.
You're a great
Thanks.
actor.
Appreciate
So
that.
we know he's a great actor. Tell us about. We
Let's,
both compliment.
you make me blush. But thanks, I appreciate it.
Guys blushing. Let's let's start out with your humble upbringing. So you're telling us about your dad. You obviously grew up in a street environment. You grew up what appears to be around street guys, possibly some criminals. So you're able to take these life experiences, transform yourself into these characters. Why don't you just tell us about what was it like growing up? I know you mentioned you were in construction, so on and so forth.
Yeah, I was born with work boots on. Family construction business. My father, he had a rough road coming up in his early youth. His upbringing was unfortunate, but he always I always look at my father like the rose that grew from the crack in concrete. He just kind of stayed straight. And he's just a truly honest man. And I think you guys can attest to this too, that sometimes the honest man gets beat.
Oh, yeah.
And my father got taken advantage of several times because he was so, such a man of fortitude and strength and honesty. And I felt all that growing up through the years of him doing business with unsavory people. So I guess through the years, seeing that happen to your old man, money coming in, money going out, this and that, him just trying to do the right thing, it burned me deep inside somewhere. And that's hard. It's a very hard thing to let go. I'm very protective of him, very protective of my family because of that. But yeah, he sculpted me, man, and he's led by example, quiet example. So he brought me up young, my brother too. He's a year older than me, my brother Dennis. And we started working all in the summers, as a kid. I'm a drywall finisher by trade. He had me spackling all the nails on the bottom where the base goes so nobody would see it, in the closets and everything. That's how I started.
Yeah.
Then I started taping houses out and everything, painting, patches, and then all light construction. So in that world, it was very hard work. And I worked in Jersey with my old man until I was about 30. And I was acting, I started when I was 20, but I could never put both feet in the business. For me, I didn't want to leave him. A long time, it was just me and him. Then we had a crew. But I knew if I had to go take a break for an audition one day, I had to come all the way up to New York City for literally 2-minute audition, come all the way back, lose a day of work, and I know he'd be digging a ditch somewhere. I just couldn't do it. So I used to bail on auditions. I just didn't want to leave my old man.
It's a tough business.
Yeah. And then eventually, him and my brother, things started going for me, and they're like, you gotta get the hell out of here. You gotta go, because you got one foot in, and you're doing good.
Yeah.
But you can't go without. And I think literally within 3 weeks, I was in my truck. My work truck. I was driving to LA.
Now, did you get an agent, or you were going?
I went through agents and managers for a while.
Okay.
Yeah, lack of trust, especially in this industry I'm in now too. Hire, fire, go through them. No one worked hard enough.
Exactly.
To me, still, it's work hard, So I have a wonderful guy now I've been with years. It's great. But once I went to LA, my acting career, the first year started going. I started booking. I was like, wow, this is great. This is it, right? I was so blue collar when I moved to my apartment. I bought a rigid vacuum for my vacuum. I was waking the neighbors up, I was sucking the carpet off the floor. I was so that world, but I didn't know how to work full time as an actor. Coming from a family business, it's no 40 hours a week.
Right.
You're banging. You wake up with it, you go to bed with it.
You do.
So as an actor, I do my jobs, I get hired, this and that, and then it was just downtime, and I'm walking by people doing yoga in the park at 2:00 and this. I'm like, what is going on here? So I said, I'm going to learn how to make film. I've always written. I never went forward with it. I didn't know how to direct, but producing equated to construction, and there's a system to it, and that I understood. So I started producing some films with some people, and I started understanding it better. I'm like, okay, I get it. Hire, fire, this, that, And then as things started going, I produced a couple films. My acting career started getting better and better out there. Produced a couple films. One of them popped. We did that in Jersey. It was called Bad Frank. That was the one that was with,
I watched that also.
Oh, did you?
Yes, it was very good.
Thanks. That was with Tom
very
Sizemore
good.
and
yes.
Ray Boom Boom Mancini.
Yes.
Ray was great.
Played the father.
Yeah, and
Yes.
Brian O'Halloran from Clerks. They're all friends, So that was a wonderful thing. And that movie put me on the map. And then I met my beautiful wife out in LA. She was from Rhode Island, kept it East Coast out there, man. You meet someone from the East Coast, it's like, oh, thank God.
And she is very beautiful and
Yeah,
lovely.
she's the
lovely.
best.
Nice, classy lady.
Yes,
And a
very
hell of an
nice.
actress.
Yes.
And,
Excellent actress.
we were like, well, we want to start a family. And I was like, there's no way I'm going to have a kid in LA. So we came back to
home.
Jersey. The film industry was moving here. And that was that. Yeah, not to make a story go, but I as soon as we got back home, a couple months in, I got cancer.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
And no, it's all right. Thanks, man. I did what I had to do, got through it. And while that happened, Amanda booked a series regular on the show called City on a Hill on Showtime.
With Kevin Bacon, yeah.
So when I was in chemo, she was doing that, and then she came out. Then I randomly auditioned for the same show without anyone knowing we were married. I got a part on it. So they were shooting that in Brooklyn. So while she was shooting her stuff, I had a different storyline, and we had our daughter by then, and she'd shoot, then I'd shoot. Who's watching the kid, back and forth, and that's that. So once we came back here, things started blossoming, and then COVID hit. And when COVID hit, the type of mentality that I have, that I think you guys have very similar, there's no way I'm not going to work. Mm-hmm. So I started writing. Mm-hmm. And I wrote The Bastard Sons, I wrote St. Michael the City, I wrote Malicious, and then I wrote Dirty Hands. And I just cranked them out in my basement like an absolute madman.
Now, I wanted to ask you, your background in fight, like, did you do mixed martial arts? Did you box? Because a lot of the film, I know you were in the military.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I got enough scrapes, more than I'd like to think about or talk about. I started boxing. I wrestled in high school. I started boxing when I was 17. Went boot camp when I was 18. Came back. Then I started boxing when I was 19 again. I was in a club down in Toms River, New Jersey. I was in amateurs briefly, but at the end of the day, I just wanted to fight all the time. It wasn't, I wasn't going to be the best boxer, but that's when I started acting, and then everything shifted to that. And I found that was the release that I finally.
Your niche to go into.
Yeah. It was just that thing.
Type of character.
Yeah, it just clicked. So I always kept up with boxing and martial arts through the years and everything. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now with these characters, because you just mentioned some of the different roles and stuff like
Right.
that you played to get into character. Like so one of the things I noticed about you is not just the acting; it's the facial expression. So you could have a certain look where your facial expression transforms when you turn into some of these characters.
Yeah, that just kind of happens.
Yeah,
That's good.
It's not really if you're thinking about yourself in a scene, especially, then you're kind of out of the moment. You know what I mean? And it's really just important to stay in that moment. And then, when things just kind of happen, they happen. Nothing's really planned other than the dialogue that has to be said in the script. So
when you're in that character of Bad Frank or the Italian guy, Bastard Sons, was it Vincent?
Yeah.
When you go into those characters, you're staying into that character while you're like.
Depends on the role.
Okay.
As much as possible. Sometimes when you do television, television is it's a little candy compared to film for me anyway. You're there. They really care a lot about your own personality. Has a lot to do with how you get cast and that kind of stuff. But indie film, there's really a grit to it. There's a deeper side to things. So certain roles, more TV, you could jump in. No, I saw him go that way. I don't know. I'm gonna call him up and that's that. We'll take it from there. Okay, cut. And you're just kind of out, But there's certain roles that just require a deeper concentration and hopefully you have the people around you that respect that and just give you the time to do it.
And I like that because I had the opportunity to speak with Amanda, your wife, and I guess being Italian, it's like you always want to keep things in the family and stuff like that. And I loved when Amanda was saying that, you guys produce and do you work together like a team. Which in this industry, it's pretty important.
Yeah.
It's because you can trust one another.
Yeah.
It's a dog-eat-dog world.
It's
a hard industry.
Yeah.
And then to have a partner that you both, love this, acting and producing and directing, and then to do it together is a blessing in itself.
Yeah.
And to trust, the whole word with trust,
right. And Amanda's one of the probably the smartest, most intelligent actor I've ever met. Amanda can memorize 8 pages of dialogue in 30 minutes and never look at it again.
Wow.
Yeah, she just has that mind. She's like built to be an actor.
Wow.
Me, I'm like, I made a career out of improvising because I can't remember anything. So I'm like, can I just run this scene a little bit? Like, yeah, Kev, do your thing. I'm like, all right, great, I have to go off book to find my way with it. Very different styles, but we kind of meet somewhere in the middle.
Nice.
So creatively, yeah. I mean, we audition each other all the time because it's on tape and you just send it in. Or on, I should say, your phone, you know.
Right.
And then for the movie stuff, she's just my sounding board, you know. I always double check with her. She sees things and angles I don't, you know. And it's really good to have. I'm lucky.
Yeah.
And then unfortunately, I get a lot of extreme roles, you know, and I'm like, Amanda, bear with me. I'm like, it's gonna be a rough month, you know. But she gets it. She gets it.
Because you have to get into character.
It's so weird having a kid now, though. You know, before the kid, I mean,
No, because now it's all about the kid.
Sure. When I lived by myself, it was just me in my apartment, my own little world. That was my world. Then you get married, and it's like, okay, I have my wife here.
And my child.
Where do I do this? You know, and now my daughter, and you know, the roles that I play, and let me think, you know, this and that, and the guy's a killer, and he's this, Daddy. I'm like, hold on. he's a killer, and I got to break this, and then I'm going to go crazy. Daddy! I'm like, okay. You know, you have to find a balance with it, and it's crazy, you know?
Yeah.
Little toys all over the place, stepping on this, and so unfortunately for me, I have to remove myself. I just have to remove myself in order to put that wall up and do it. It's an odd lifestyle, I'm not going to lie. It's odd, but we love it, you know? And, and Amanda gives me my space, you know, and vice versa, and we just make it work. Yeah.
Wow. So now, in terms of, because you're not just an actor, obviously you just mentioned, you know, producing, directing. What films did you actually play these multiple roles in, where you've actually acted, produced, and had various parts, directed?
You know what? This is one of the reasons why I started making film, and I'll tell you. The movies that did the best for me, for my career, were the ones that I produced and wrote. And that's one of the reasons why I started, because as an actor, throughout my career, I think the best word to use is that I was heartbroken over and over and over again. And I work from a place where I want to give somebody everything I got. I want to leave it all on the floor, no matter what, you know? And when I do that as an actor, and then I turn around 6 months or a year later, I'm in the screening room watching the movie with everybody, and I'm like, it's the worst feeling in the world that the movie's not good. I have no control over that.
Right.
So here I am giving everything I got, and then the other people around me are not. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I can't deal with this anymore. It's like painting a painting that takes you a year, and it's your precious, it's so precious and special to you. And then someone comes and puts it in the worst frame you'll ever see with graffiti all over it and throws it on the wall. And that's what it felt like. I said, well, by hook or by crook, I'm gonna do this then. I'll do it myself. And that was the driving force too. I always wanted to be a storyteller in any capacity, any creative capacity. But the driving force for me to like turn that corner, that's what it was. That's what it was. So I had to make sure that if I was gonna give a piece of my heart to something, and other people involved too, that I would come from a place to make that.
That's the best spot to be in, because you're not answering to anybody. You're doing it the way you want to do it, and putting all of the passion and work and everything to make it succeed.
Yeah,
that's what's really important.
And that's what happened. So to answer your question, Toby, I started with a movie called Dirty Dead Con Men. Bad Frank, Bastard Sons, Malicious, and then St. Michael the City. I did a movie in 2008 called The Blue Collar Boys. And that was actually written about my life and my upbringing. And it's out. Me, my buddies I grew up with, my father, things that really happened.
Okay.
And that was rough because I wrote the story for that when I went overseas with the military and stuff. And I wrote the story for that in a journal. I filled it up. I came home and I gave that story to a friend to write the script. I wasn't confident enough to write a script yet, so I gave it. As soon as I did this, my power was gone. Right. My story was gone. He turned out to be a real, you know what? We ended up making the movie. Came out good. Wasn't, exactly, but it came out good. But decisions were made, and unfortunately that movie never saw the light of day. So you can find it, and it's a good film. But there's a lot of good film that you can't find.
Right.
And that, especially a piece of my heart like that, and to go to someone else to make, I said, never again. Never again.
And, we see this all too frequently, where you'll have a good actor on screen, and the concept of the show or the movie is a good one. But the acting ends up looking terrible. And it's like, why does this, why does this particular show look so bad? You got good actors, you got an awesome concept.
Yeah.
Like what's going on here?
Yeah.
And, it's those behind the scenes moments, I'm assuming, of the writers, the directors, the producers putting this in a certain direction. And particularly, we see it a lot in the mob genre, or
I thought of one particular film. I was good friends with John Gotti Sr. I don't know the son, but Sr. I ran with all those people. And my other son, Keith, he said when the film came out, we'll go see
Gotti.
Gotti.
Yeah.
With John Travolta. I walked out.
Yeah.
I walked out because it was nothing like he was. Now Armand Asante did Gotti at that film. He nailed it.
Yeah.
He nailed it. It's an old film.
Sure, I remember it.
That one.
I remember it well.
He did a great job with it. But the one Gotti, I didn't like that at all. And I was in on A&E, the documentary Gotti and Son. I'm in that one. I'm in a lot of crime documentaries for that era because I hung around a lot of those people. And I was like, that's not what John was like.
Yeah.
And you got to remember, street guys are very different within the streets than they are with their family.
Right.
They're very different.
Right.
The family doesn't know what they're like in the streets. Their first family probably is the streets because they're really never home. They're not good fathers or husbands because I know I've married them.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough nailing that, especially when it's about someone.
And that's what, like with me, I was telling Kevin about so many opportunities to buy the film rights, and I haven't sold anything because I didn't need to. But Kevin was giving me a good point. You should make your own film because it's true. I don't want to sell my rights. I don't know how they're going to portray me or put it out there.
Yeah.
Like,
you never know. Once you sign that line,
that you just don't know.
Yeah.
You're powerless.
And again, we see it I see it in business every day.
Yeah.
There's people that do their jobs. They do their jobs phenomenal. They do a great job. They're reliable, so on and so forth. And then there's people, they're just there.
Yeah.
They do a certain title, but they don't do it well.
Yeah. I learned, my old man told me a lot, man. I learned that coming up with the crew and everything for years, if there's 20 tasks to do in a day and you got two guys doing the same exact tasks and they both give you 100%. One guy might make it from 1 to 20 and get it done. The other guy might make it from 1 to 10, but they still both gave their 20%.
Right.
Everyone's got different capabilities and capacities of doing things, and it's funny you said that because that's kind of how I crafted when I started making these films, my crew, which is essentially the crew. It's the workforce, and they're all so talented in their own right. I'm like, I gotta get warriors around me to make this work. Warriors that can make it from 0 to 20 in that day, and surround myself with those people.